Hey guys, I'm back on a very beautiful, sunny, but also very windy day here, so I apologize if you hear the wind blowing in the microphone or some random piece of whatever flies in front of the camera. But, Benchmades. I haven't done a video about Benchmades in a really long time. They're still one of my favorite brands, even though I rarely carry them now. Just because I've been completely assimilated into the Hinderer cult, and they are my favorite knife now. But, I still love my Benchmade collection, and I still love the Griptilian. It's a great knife. It's one of the most common kind of middle end sort of, not super high end, not cheap garbage, but just a basic, good, sturdy EDC knife. And there's a lot of features and a lot of options. It was only a matter of time before China decided they were gonna copy that. So let's back up and talk about how I decided to do this video. I was on Amazon, because you can get everything you need on Amazon. And while I was looking around, and it wasn't even knife related, I think it was a sharpening system I was looking for or something. They have those little suggestions on the bottom. And it suggested this, which at first glance, just real quick, oh, it's a Griptilian. Oh, cool, a G10 Griptilian. Wait a minute, something's wrong with this picture. So this is not, in fact, an actual Benchmade Griptilian. It is a Ganzo, or Ganzo, however we're pronouncing it. I'm gonna call it Ganzo. It is a Ganzo copy, and I'm gonna be very careful to not say clone, because to me, a clone knife is one of those knives where they remake and try to pass off their knife as someone else's. So I'm going to be very clear about calling these copies and not clones. At least we can say that they had the integrity to not try to throw a Benchmade trademark on there and logo and mimic their knife, but they did clearly steal the design of the 551 Griptilian to make this, down to the access lock, clip features, everything like that. So what I want to do today is I want to compare this copy to the real thing. But I also want to talk about a few other things before we get there, because that's not the only one they did. Real quick, what does this look like? If your answer was a Benchmade 950 Rift, you were right. But it is, once again, Ganzo. And it's a pretty damn good copy. I did a little comparison of the actual 550 against this one. I don't have a 550 anymore. I had to borrow Buddy's, and it is really damn close. You'd be hard to tell the difference, except for the markings, and the weight is a little bit different too. But there's that. This looks just like a mini Onslaught. I never had a mini Onslaught myself, but I had two full-size Onslaughts. Again, except for the weight. It's hard to tell, little different texture on the scales there, but again, I'm going to give them credit for putting their own brand name on there, hijacking the design but not trying to pass it off as an actual Benchmade knife. But there's a lot of other ones. If you go on Amazon and you look up Ganzo knife, you'll see a lot of these copies. And the sad part is, I'm going to say, while the quality materials is not the same as Benchmade, and it's not like buying a Benchmade knife, the fit and finish on these knives is pretty damn good. Centering is really good. Smooth action. It's not broken in yet, so it doesn't have like a real good snap. The axis copy that they do is pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. And everything lines up. Everything looks professional in production and machined. So, I mean, if you didn't know better, it's not that bad a knife. One of the trademarks of these Ganzo knives, though, is that they are all 440C blades, whereas Benchmade, the real Griptilian, gives you some options. I grabbed this one, too, and somebody help me out. I know that this is a copy of a high-end knife. I can't, for the life of me, remember what it is. So if you guys know that, please comment on, what make and model they stole this from. I know it's not a Benchmade and the real thing doesn't have the axis lock in it, but this is a beast of a knife. This is almost 8 ounces, and you know what? I hate to admit it. I've been carrying it around lately just to test it out. It's a good knife. It really is, if you're into a heavy knife. Blade is super sharp. It's very comfortable, of course, because it's a good design they stole, but, like, if I didn't have better knives, I might just carry one of these things. So anyway, okay. The first attempt for Ganzo was a sort of almost kind of ripoff of the Griptilian. So it's got the fake axis lock, it's got the steel liners with these plastic scales on the handles. That's a damn good representation of a Benchmade clip, of the split arrow clip. I mean, if you compare it to the real thing, it's hard to tell. There's some subtle differences, but it's really good copy of it. This is a pretty light knife. I forgot the actual weight on it, and it's pretty comfortable too. Overall, though, not bad. But they took it a step further, and they decided that they were going to just flat out copy the Griptilian design with a G10 handle on it. So what I want to do in this video is I want to kind of compare and contrast, talk about the features, how you tell the difference, and kind of do a little test. I want to compare one to the other and see how the Chinese copy holds up to the original Benchmade. So in order to do that, we're going to have to start by talking a little bit about the Griptilian and where it came from, sort of, kind of, a little bit. So all of these knives have 440C blade steel. There are some out there that would say that that is a crappy steel. I am not one of those people. I like 440. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, there's better stuff out there, but it's not a bad steel. Look up the history of 440 and how it was invented and why. And it's really not bad. If you don't believe me, the original Griptilians came in 440C steel. The original Griptilian was the 550. You can tell the older models because they have the oval thumb hole rather than the round one. And once again, 440C steel. But this was the very first model of the Griptilian. The modified sheep's foot blade, model 550. Kind of everything that makes a Benchmade right there. Okay. And this was good, but there were folks that like the drop point blade. So they introduced the 551. The 551 and the 550 and the 553, the Tanto, they're all basically the same. It's just the grind of the blade that's different. They made some modifications along the way. So later on, and I don't have a year on it, but you can look it up, they would change the shape of the thumb hole to round, just like Spyderco's. But other than that, the shape of the blade is the same. They would introduce other steels. The standard Benchmade Griptilian steel, just like most of their knives right now, is 154 cm. So if you just buy one, kind of standard off the rack, this is what you're going to get from the Benchmade custom knife designer. Or if you just get a limited or special edition one, they now come also in M4. Here's one that comes in X15TN, really water kind of and corrosion resistant. S30V right here. Here's one that is N680, again more water corrosion resistant, and you can also get D2. There are other steels available, but on the custom knife builder, you're basically going to pick from 154 cm, S30V, N680, or D2. We all know what Benchmade packaging is like, so I'm not going to go through that. Here's what you get, though, when you get a Ganzo. So it's a prominently marked box, so not trying to fool anybody. And here's the Griptilian copy model number. And packaging is actually pretty nice. It's pretty decent. So you're going to get your box. You're going to get your do not eat me, but I'll keep moisture away from your knife packet. It comes with its own little bag. It's kind of a velvety bag. It's not the same as Benchmade's, that satin finish, but it's a protective bag. And the knife comes in bubble wrap. So they do take some time and energy packaging this nicely. This is like a very, very subdued texture G10, just like any peel and ply knife handle or scale. They have kind of a cut, rough texture G10 handle as well. But other than that, the knife is really the same. So when you open up this Ganzo and you look at it, again, first glance, you'd really have to look to tell the difference, right? In terms of real Benchmade, fake Benchmade. So let's start with the blade and let's work our way down. Now, I didn't see any sheep's foot or Tanto blades. They're all drop point. So the first thing you're looking at on the real Benchmade, you see you've got the swedge by the tip. You've got your Benchmade logo, obviously. You've got a gentle kind of swoop upwards by the thumb stud. So here, no swedge, right? Ganzo logo, much more pronounced swoop by the thumb stud. Different kind of thumb stud. You can't put a wrench in there to turn it like you can with the real Benchmades. And one of the biggest differences, this kind of has a 3/4 grind on it right there. I don't think it's really hollow ground. Yeah, it's not hollow ground, but it's not a full flat grind, where this is still not a full flat grind, but more of a flat grind. So you can really see the difference. The pivot looks really similar on the one side, but then if you flip it over to the clip side, you can see it's just flattened out on the real one, and it's another bolt that you can work with on that side. One of the biggest differences that's telling is the axis lock. You can see it's kind of hollowed out there, and here it's not, it's just flat. I haven't taken this thing all apart. The internals, kind of from this view, look the same in terms of the cutting for the Omega springs and the axis lock, but this axis lock is much better to work with. has a much springier spring. Your thumb and finger can grab onto that really nicely. This one it leaves you kind of flat. You really gotta, it's easy for the fingers to slip off of it actually. There's the sound of freedom in the background. F-22's going home after a training mission. And it's a tighter spring. It doesn't have the same springiness. You have to work it a little bit more. That could be a plus or a negative, depending on how you look at it. But it's clearly, if you put the two of them together, you can tell by feel right away that there's a big difference. You can also see a longer cutout for the axis here. Jimping is different. This jimping is cut directly into the liner and the G10 scale. And here it's just kind of like ridges on the plastic and then smaller cuts into the liner. You can compare a Benchmade G10 scaled Griptilian to that also, and you'll see it's very different. It's just cut into the liner, those small little cuts, not these big ones. I actually like this jimping better, to tell you the truth. Jimping on the back, which the Benchmade just barely has. Not much though. Take a look at screw placement. You have much different screw placement on the Ganzo than on the Benchmade. You have your pivot, in the same place, but here you have this retaining screw that connects the scale to the liner. No frame or body screws right there, but here you have two, one on each side. That does kind of match up, sort of, with the Benchmade G10 handle, but you're still missing that scale to liner screw right there, and your short one body screw. Clip placement is the same on either one, and you left or right, so whatever you want to do. This is where differences are a lot more apparent. Look at the clip. The clip is the same. You could switch them back and forth. I haven't tried using screws on each other's, so I don't know if that's the same, like the tapping of the screws, but this clip will fit here, this clip will fit here. But there are some differences in them, clearly, right? And this is where, again, you see the difference in the frame screws. 1, 2, 3 going to hold the Griptilian together. The same 1, 2 going for the Ganzo. If you want to compare the barrel spacers on the actual Benchmade, you've got 3 as opposed to 2. And it's kind of hard to tell in the light here, but they are a beefier sort of overall width. These ones get wide on the ends, but in the middle they're pretty skinny. Centering on these is not perfect. On either way, it could use a little adjustment. But then again, most Griptilians don't come with perfect centering either. It's just the nature of the way the knife is made. Not perfect, just a little room for improvement either way. If you actually compare blade size, it looks to me like the Ganzo blade is just slightly bigger. Take a look at that, just slightly bigger. You can see, putting the scales right next to each other, a little bit bigger, just ever so slightly bigger towards the Ganzo side. In terms of width, the width really, it's not a noticeable difference, and they both feel really good in your hand, honestly. So there's not much to go on there. This knife is a full ounce heavier than this. This comes in at 4.8 ounces, and this is 3.75 ounces, you know, per my scale. I don't know what Benchmade's literature says about it. So there's an ounce difference, and it's noticeable. But then again, the G10 Benchmade is a little bit heavier than the regular, and it weighs in at just under the 3.8 ounces that the Ganzo is. If you want to take a look at the blade coating, this is a Benchmade standard blade coating. You can see it's got a much more dull matte finish than the Ganzo. And I have a feeling that the Ganzo is really just a paint, not a DLC anything. I don't think it's nearly as durable. You can feel a big difference too. This just feels like a smooth coating, and this has like a little bit of a matte, rough feel to it. This knife is a little bit old, but we're going to use it as the baseline. And then I'm also going to test a newer 154 cm blade with a quick paper test, and we're going to compare the Ganzos to it before we get into some more cutting tests with them to really see what the difference is there. So even an older Benchmade blade, and this is 440 again, holds an edge pretty well. We'll use the 154 cm blade next, and this is a brand new right out of the box. I've never actually cut anything with this. Maybe some tape on another box. Kind of as expected, just razor sharp. So let's try our first Ganzo. And by the way, if it hasn't shown up at all, though, I do want to say it's a really beautiful stonewash on that blade. The wind's making it a little hard to do the cut test, but... So really, there's no difference between the real-life Benchmade blade right out of the box and the edge that your Ganzo comes with. Nope. In fact, this might be the smoothest, sharpest cutting one of all. Love it. Just for the hell of it, let's try this little guy out. Yeah. So the quality that you're getting with the Ganzo isn't bad at all. I mean, it's for an affordable price. And by the way, the most expensive one of these Ganzos out of all of them was the fake Rift, and this thing was $22. The rest of them were all somewhere between $11 and like $18.99. So if you don't have the money to spend on an actual Griptilian, just side note, and I'm not advocating you buy a fake knife, but I usually will spend, because you can get these in the BX for somewhere between $75 to $85. I've seen them sold as much as $150 in certain stores. I don't know if I'd ever want to pay $150 for a Griptilian, but certainly there's a big price difference. So let me get this cleaned up right now, and we'll do some other cut tests just to see how one fares to the other. I moved inside. It was just getting a little hard to work out there with the wind. I'm not sure what it's going to sound like on the actual video when it's all done, but I hope it's not too bad. We're not going to make this one real fancy or like super rough, but let's just start with the original for real Benchmade 440 blade. Was a little bit of effort, a little bit to slice through that P-cord. So not as easy and smooth cutting as I would expect, but let's see the 154 cm, see if that's any better. That was a lot better. Yeah. Much smoother. Much easier than the 440 blade. So you can say that 154 cm is a better steel than 440C. Neither of these knives have been carried and used, really, so it's not like a factor of this is dull. Maybe it's just the way this particular blade came from the factory. I don't know. But let's go to the Ganzos and see how they do. Wow, that was actually, believe it or not, easier than either of the Benchmades. Just sliced right through it like nothing. And I didn't even have to draw the blade across there. Really, I just pressed down and it just popped right out. Same thing, just super easy to cut with. So I don't know if that's a factor of, you know, maybe the way the steel was made, the way the blade was ground, the way the edge was honed, but these Ganzo knives, they're cutting better than the real Benchmade ones right now. And for an $18 knife, this thing so far, in my opinion anyway, is worth way more than the price paid for it. Just because we can, I want to use the Beast and see how this does. I have a feeling this is going to be just, oh, yeah. This one, easier than everything else we've done so far. Wow. I know it's hard to tell just from watching, but this, I barely even need to push weight down on it, just a little bit, and it cuts right through. This is a really, really good knife. I'm still hoping somebody's going to be able to tell us what real-life design this is ripped off from. But this actually, I'm going to start carrying this, maybe not as my primary, but in a backpack or a secondary knife or something, because this is a great knife. I'm probably going to do another video some other time just about this knife out in the wilderness. By wilderness, of course, I mean my backyard. I don't have any field exercises coming up soon, but I really just want to see what this thing's capable of, and I might even order another one with another color G10. I guess since we have them and we already looked at them, it would only be fair to let the other knockoffs get a chance to cut and see how they do too. So let's start with the Wannabe Mini Onslaught. Not bad, but a lot more effort than I had to put with the other blades. But not bad. And now the I Wish I Was a Rift. That one actually, it didn't even feel like it had cut it. I was convinced it didn't. And I was going to have to do it again because I wasn't really looking. I was looking at the camera instead. But yeah, that's actually pretty nice and smooth also. Not as good as the Beast, but still pretty good. And that one's pretty good for just the pushing down and popping the cord apart. So anyway, just figured I'd throw these in the mix because we had them out here. Let's get back to the Griptilians. Okay guys, so that's all I've got for this one. I just really wanted to do a little comparison and show y'all kind of what's out there, how it stacks up. I can't say anything bad about these Ganzos except they copied Benchmade. But, you know, once again, at least they had the guts to put their own name on it and not try to pass it off as a Benchmade knife. It's been a while since I did some really good custom work and had fun messing with that stuff, so we're going to be doing another giveaway on the channel. Why? Because it's fun for me to do. I don't know. I get the sense that these Ganzos are actually going to be pretty easy to work with, and I think we can make them look pretty damn nice when they're all done. So here's what I need from you guys. What do you want to see these knives turn into? We can do different finishes on the blade. We can do different materials on the scales, on the handle. I've already got some ideas, but I want to know what you guys think and what you'd like to see. And here's kind of the way you enter the giveaway this time. You comment what you would like me to do with one or any of these different blades, and maybe I'll pick that idea and do that one, or maybe I'll do something else at all. But the point is, you take the time to share your ideas with the group, then that automatically enters you into the giveaway. Now, it's not going to be for a few weeks. I'm going to be taking a little bit of time here and there to work on this stuff. It's going to take me a little while to get it all done. I'm not sure exactly how many blades I'm going to be giving away. Maybe all 5 of these, maybe 1 or 2, I don't know. For sure, you can expect the 2 Griptilian wannabes, and maybe some of the other ones. I really like the beast over there. I really like it, so I'm not sure, but I want to redo it anyway. And then I'm going to take one of the true Griptilians, and I'm going to do some really nice custom scales for that too. So give me your best ideas. Just put them in the comments, and there'll probably be another chance to enter on the next video also, because these won't be done right away. Yes, you can enter on both videos. That counts as 2 different entries. These knives are pretty decently made. They're good quality, so let's see if we can dress them up a little fancier and make them into something that people would really, really like. Okay? All right, that's all I've got for you guys. Thanks again for watching, and I will be back real soon.